The Bill and Kelly Show is recorded at Studio A at Executive Suite Squared in beautiful Hammond, Indiana. Now, here's Bill and Kelly. Hello, welcome to the Bill and Kelly Show. Today we are honored to have Lieutenant Matt Kodicek with us of the Crown Point Fire Department here in Crown Point, Indiana. Welcome, Matt. We're kind of excited to have you on the show. We've read a bit about Ben's blue bags and are kind of excited to hear how this whole thing got started. So again, welcome to our show. Why don't you start out by telling us a bit about yourself and how you got involved with this program?
Bill, thanks for having me. So my name is Matt Kodicek. I am a lieutenant with Crown Point Fire Rescue. I've been with the Crown Point Fire Department career now for this is my 11th year on the fire department. I've been on there for 17 years. I was a volunteer prior to going full time. I've been in the fire service for 20 years now. I started at 19 as an EMT firefighter over in Lake Hills, Cherville area, and just kind of worked my way up from there. The idea of the Ben's Blue Bag originally started, I saw an article about a paramedic firefighter very similar to myself in Ohio. His name was Eric Henry. And Eric Henry did an autism sensory bag on his ambulance for his fire department in a community very similar to Crown Point. So fast forward, I saw the article. My mom, who shared it with me also, had talked to me about it and said she wanted to do something for Crown Point and kind of wanted to name it after Ben. So my 6-year-old son, Ben, is level 1 autistic. And we didn't know Ben was autistic at first. Even around like 3 years old, we couldn't get a really good, clear diagnosis for Ben. We went and saw specialists between Indianapolis and Chicago and kind of bounced back and forth because one person would say, yes, he is. Next person said, no, he wasn't. So we actually really struggled as parents, my wife and I, of getting a really good, clear diagnosis for him. But we saw a lot of the mannerisms. We saw a lot of the stuff that's kind of classically known for autistic children, but it wasn't like outright, a level 2 or level 3. So fast forward with the Ben's Blue Bags, I talked to my fire chief, Dave Crane, about doing the bags, about how they're going to be a donation, and he was all for the idea. So I got the bags, I put them together, showed them to my crews, and I remember being pretty nervous, kind of talking about Ben, about my son, and because I didn't know a ton about autism, but through this I've become well more educated about it, and I've taken the presentation and turned it into something that first responders all can gain a lot of knowledge of. So like I always tell people, Ben's Blue Bag it's a 2-part thing. One is the bag, as you can see right behind me, and that has a lot of different sensory items and different calming items for somebody that's autistic or even special needs. And 2 is the presentation part, the program that I put together, thanks to help of a lot of friends, coworkers, and even like therapists of Ben who've made this program the way it is today.
That's awesome. So, so furthermore, where are the bags currently at? How can a department get a hold of the bags?
So, if they want to get, they can contact me. We set up Ben's Blue Bags on Facebook.com. I set up a Ben's Blue Bags at Gmail. But currently, for Northwest Indiana, what I've been going around doing is actually doing the in-services and trying to tackle as many departments as I can. Thanks to an anonymous donation, this really nice family came to me. They saw my article in the Times. They were from Crown Point, and they wanted to donate. So we worked together with them. They asked me how many fire departments and where I want to go. And I told them we have about 150 fire departments in Northwest Indiana, and I'd love to see every bag at every fire department and some kind of training that I could put on for them. And they gave me a donation of around $20,000, and that's what I've been doing. So right now I've hit, let me back up. So initially Crown Point did it, and that was from a donation. And then St. Anthony's EMS Academy, Rob Dowling, who's my boss for, and runs our EMS, he's runs our paramedic school, our EMT school for, Franciscan Health Crown Point. He saw what we were doing in Crown Point, and he wanted to do all of the St. Anthony system. So that encompasses multiple towns. So that's, Cherville, Cedar Lake, St. John, Lowell, which is Tri Creek EMS, all the way down to Newton County, Keener Township, all the way up to Valparaiso. So he basically said, here, what's it going to cost? Whatever it is, Matt, put the bags together, do the program, and I'll cover you. So I've hit those communities first. And then from there, I'm trying, we got this grant for the 20,000, and now we're just trying to go district wide with it. So I've had departments contact me. What really kind of put a hamper on everything was COVID. I'm not going to lie. It's a training that needs to kind of be done in person, and it's really hard. Everyone's training really kind of got thrown to the back burner with COVID. But as we're figuring out a better way with masks and 6 feet of separation, it's starting to ramp up again. And I've been going out and doing more trainings.
Right.
So one training that has come up is at the MAC on September 17th. It's a free training, district1firetraining.com. They can register for the class, and that'll hold up to about 45 people.
All right. So you do some of this at the MAC in Valparaiso.
Yep.
That's an awesome facility, isn't it? It's amazing.
Yeah.
So let's talk a bit about the training, because I know that we talked that's what makes this program unique. It's just not that you drop the bags off. You actually train the first responders how to deal with an autistic person, what their sensory overload, and because typically in those situations, they're quite volatile. Either it's a car accident, a fire, or what other unfortunate incident that's happened. And a lot of times that will trigger an autistic person to just go really uncontrollable, because they're once they get out of their norm, they start to panic. And and a lot of with things within this bag helps them calm down. Is that correct? Or it helps kind of ease their anxiety?
Yeah, everything is calming. It has to do with calming or refocusing techniques. I have different variety of different things in the bag. One thing I can show you or send you is I have like a whiteboard. And, the whiteboard really is for somebody who's nonverbal, for a nonverbal person. The whiteboard allows them to write and, and communicate. One thing I added from what like the original sensory bags I saw out of Ohio was when you flip it over, and this is what Ben's school teacher, his kindergarten teacher said, is why don't we do a pictogram with where it hurts? And that's something that we added that every board has, is where it hurts. Nobody else was doing that, like where it actually flip it over, and it could be anywhere that's nonverbal. As paramedics, where does it hurt? Where, what can we treat? If we can't see it, or you can't communicate with us, at least point to us what's going on. And that allows us to, to communicate. That's one thing that our bags that have in place that nobody else was doing, so it's like we just took something and we've made it better, and it keeps getting better.
Yeah, that's great. That's absolutely great. And having a son, your sensitivity level about what's needed in that bag is dead on, without a doubt, because it's something.
Yeah, I the bags, as I've been putting them together, I almost had to take them to my mom's house in Crown Point because the kids get into it. I have to make sure because, one thing I pride myself is every bag is built identically the same. I have an inventory list. And I share it with my police officers, my firefighters. I go, listen, I put an inventory list. Here's the links on Amazon. And I always tell them, if you use it, I go, if you use anything, just give it to the child. Give it to the person. If it's a fidget spinner or it's a squeeze ball, here's how you can buy more stuff. I go, everything individually is about like $1 here, $1 there. The whole 22nd century kit is around $20. But just give it to the child. Give it to the person. Don't ask for it back. Let them have it. It calms them down. Go with it. Even the emergency room, St. Anthony's emergency room took 2 of them. The biggest thing is giving them the training, because to the naked eye, to the untrained eye, it just looks like a bunch of kids' toys. It looks like basic kids' toys that you put in the quarter machine or something like that. But when you actually see the reason why and how the sensory helps them, and giving first responders the why is what makes this, like I said, what makes this program different than anything I can find out there.
And you've actually going to show us some of that training that you give the first responders in your PowerPoint presentation. That's great. The other thing is I want to tune in on. So what is amazing is to hear the story you've had a lot of entities jump right in there and offer to help fund this thing, which leads all of us to believe how important this is. These people found value, and so you've had some funders early on. But if someone is sitting out there and said, you know what, I got to help them out. So how can they send you a donation? Um, and we'll go ahead and put this up in part of the video. How can they send you a donation to help out with this program?
So they can send a District 1 fire training, or it's like District 1 Fire Training Council, and it's the same address as the MAC in Valparaiso. It's that
Okay.
Mondale. Yes.
Right.
So we're all kind of connected with the MAC, District 1 Fire Training, myself, through the MAC Foundation, all that. It's a lot of the same, group of people. So they can donate to District 1 Foundation or District 1 Training Council, and I'm working on them to add like the doing business as, so they could just write it to Ben's Blue Bags. But if they donate to District 1 Fire Training Council, just put an emphasis steads for Ben's Blue Bags.
All right, great.
Like
and
in the memo, in the memo line or something, like in a check or something like that, I have had it. I was gonna tell you, it was kind of, once we got going and we talked about what was going on at Crown Point, I had somebody literally drop off just like fidget spinners. Like they just, and it's like, I'm like,
awesome.
I appreciate it. Or like, we didn't really know what we're gonna go through more or less, but like I've made sure to build the bags again for my police officers, my first responders that had 4 of everything, so they didn't need to like replenish it immediately. It would last multiple calls, and the lifetime of the bags. They're, we bought the same blue bags off of Amazon. That they're nice, like the gym, like, the pull string bags and everything. So I wanted to make sure to give them something that was rugged, that would last,
Yeah. And the other thing too is, gosh, you're a lieutenant in Crown Point Fire Department, which is not an easy gig. I mean, that's a pretty big area you guys cover. So, and it keeps growing. They keep growing it on you guys. So the other thing is, how do you, is it you and your family puts these together? Do you have other people come in and help out?
Right now, it's just like kind of me and my wife have been putting this stuff together. I've had offers, like one of my neighbors is a middle school teacher, and she said she's had students that needed community service hours, and they've offered like Crown Point Cares, and a couple of them have offered like, hey, I haven't had a point where I had to put like 100 of bags together at once, so it's been kind of manageable. But yeah, like I've had offers like, from different, kids needing, the high school kids that need community service hours. So that's been pretty nice.
So just looking forward, because ideally, and if you want to start putting this in every department, suppose you do get requests for 200 of these things. Could you use the help? I mean, are you ready to do that? Or and how do they contact? Do they contact you or?
Yeah, they can look up at Ben's Blue Bags at Facebook.com. I set up Ben's Blue Bags at Gmail. Also, they can send me an email and stuff like that. I set up they, like you did, like you can hit me up on Messenger, and I'll always send back my cell phone number, or I can give them, I'm happy to share my cell phone, stuff like that. So
okay, all right, we'll put that on the video when we go to drop the video. We'll go ahead and make sure it's in the posting. So that would be cool. So where do we go from here? Do you want to show us a bit more about, talking a bit about what's in the bag and how you conduct the training?
Yeah, so I can do a screen, we'll do a share screen of my PowerPoint, and you can kind of see, I can show you, kind of talk about what's in the bags.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll, let me back it up. Oh, sorry. All right. So can you see that okay?
Yep.
All right. So this is right from my presentation. This is what every person that goes through the Ben's Blue Bag sees. So I'll say, okay, here are the bags. And this is a part of my program where I stop, I pull that, you see in my bag behind me, I pull that bag out for what the officers, the first responders, the paramedics, and I let them put their hands on the stuff. And it's pretty funny because every one of them starts playing with the items, and they're like, between the squeeze balls, the worms, you see the marble mesh, and they find it entertaining. It's a bunch of sensory items. they all find it entertaining. So then what the next part is, and like I said, you see everything in the picture, I'll go through is, I'll talk about my dry eraser board. So why do we, and this is actually the old dry eraser board. Print Pro out of Crown Point made me custom made dry eraser boards that aren't even like from Amazon there. We took the What Hurts and the other board, they made custom made boards for me because they saw what we were doing with it, and helped me with the program. So next part, we talk about the squeeze, the pull, and the feel. We talk about how they're distracting items, help them, to calm them down, if they're having, they're overstimulated, it helps them refocus. Then the next thing we're talking about the problem solving. Sometimes they need a task to help them. They need a problem solving task. So we have this little bendy thing that comes with it. It comes with a Rubik's Cube, and it comes with like a lava flip over back and forth. Next thing is the earmuffs. Sometimes it's earmuffs that's what's needed. It could be the white noises that we don't realize are amplified for somebody who's on the autistic spectrum, by 1,000 times. And they might not have the headphones, or they're in a situation where they didn't need it up until that. So that's where we always carry the headphones with. And then the fidget spinners are great calming items also. So we get more part of the ABCs of autism into, but what I was going to fast forward you to is the video. So a lot of times, like with training stuff, we talk about scenarios. We always run through scenarios, like police, fire, EMS, we run through scenarios. Whether it's a house fire scenario, hey, how are we going to attack the fire? What are we going to do in these tactics? To a cardiac arrest, to even, police officers run through scenarios all the time. It's the constant training. So what I did different, and this is what I developed kind of during COVID, was I took my scenarios, instead of just putting them up where you read it, I actually videotaped coworkers from real scenarios and incorporated it into the program. So what I'm going to play now is actually one of my coworkers, Paramedic Holsby, as we talk about one of the scenarios. So whenever you're ready.
Go ahead.
So we were called to a motor vehicle accident in our area, and we arrived on scene. We found two vehicles with minor damage. We were directed to a vehicle where we had a 30-year-old restrained female driver who had minor neck and back complaints. She pointed us to the back seat where we saw her 6-year-old son. Minor cut on the forehead, but you could tell he was immediately apprehensive to our presence. The mother advised us that her son was autistic.
So then I'll talk to the audience, like, okay, what would you guys use? And this is one of the scenarios we've had in real life. It's not that this was always the patient. We have a patient and they're the autistic that we're taking care of. We get car accidents all the time in Crown Point where mom and dad might be hurt. They're the primary caregivers, and the child or the person that's autistic in the backseat may not be hurt, but we have to take care of mom and dad, and they're the primary caregivers. So who becomes the primary caregiver? Me, the fire department, the police department, So us having better understanding really helps. So here's the outcome.
So we came around to the back of the vehicle, and immediately the little boy's tension went through the roof at our presence. So I went into Ben's blue bag, and I reached in, and the first thing that I came across was the marble and mesh, which is really simple, provides some sensory stimulation and relief for the child. I handed it to him. His focus became that and not my presence, which allowed me to assess his injuries and begin some good rapport with that young man.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So, it's like situational training, what you go through as a firefighter.
Yeah.
And so, So you use your experience in talking through the situations that you would roll out in a house fire or a car accident. It's the very same principles.
Yeah. Basically, I've been an instructor in different fire, live fire. I teach CPR like once a month for our fire department. I teach different EMS classes. So I kind of knew as an instructor what works and what doesn't, or what I can make better. And this was one of those that I wanted to, I had originally typed it up, and then I have a background at Purdue. I went to Purdue. I got my bachelor's degree in radio and television production, but I always wanted to be a fireman. It's kind of a lifelong thing. So I just used some of my, old TV background stuff of, video production to put it together.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, and if you, on your spare time, we can use help here on the show. So,
Oh, all right. Yeah. I worked. I
yeah.
worked. I worked in television for a few years through college. Worked in Fox News Chicago, and I was a
Oh, wow.
photojournalist for. Yeah, I was a photojournalist for a year in Rockford before came home to the family business. So I have a brother that's a fire. That's also a fire chief in Portage, Indiana. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a family thing.
Yeah. I get amazed that some of you firemen refer to, and police officers too, refer to it as the business. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I get a kick out of that. But it is, I mean, it's your profession. So, boy, so where are you going from here? I mean, review with us again where these bags are already, what departments have them, and what your
So
roles are.
yeah, no problem. So the departments that I've done or helped like assist with is Crown Point Fire, and now I just recently did Crown Point Police, which got a huge warm welcome from all my officers. We reached out to like we shared that, and it reached out. I couldn't believe over 25,000 people shared it, liked it, thought it was amazing. Like that, Crown Point Police was doing that, so that was huge. We've done Cedar Lake Fire Department, St. John Fire Department, Lake Hills Fire Department, Cherville Fire Department, Hobart. I worked with one of their battalion chiefs, Castle, came to me and asked, and I basically shared them. They built the identical bags. Valparaiso Fire Department, Tri Creek EMS out of Lowell, Portage Fire. I worked with my brother to help him get Portage Fire up and going, and I think that's about it. Currently, what I'm working on doing is all District 1. The rest of the areas pre-COVID, I've had invitations come in. I have Maryville Fire Department still is ready to go with it. I'm setting up something with Griffith, Highland, and Munster are going to get together and do a joint effort. Even out to LaPorte. I've talked to LaPorte City Fire Department, one of their chief officers would like me to come, Chesterton. The ones I'm still trying to work north of is, I want to cover Hammond, East Chicago, and Gary. It's just trying to, kind of coordinate. I'm only one person doing all these trainings right now.
Yeah.
So it's between being a dad, a full-time, fireman, a dad, and everything else. It's, just trying to do it on my off days. So.
Right. Well, it's still amazing, and it's an amazing outreach for you to do, and to know that you're doing this to help some folks out. And it sounds like that people identified this as a need, and they're helping you out wherever they can, both organizations and individuals.
It's amazing how many people stop me, like whether it's officers or other people that, friends of friends that saw the article and says, I have a daughter that's autistic, I have a son that's autistic, I have a nephew, a grandson. I didn't really realize how many people it was going to affect and hit, So that part's been amazing. I mean, like just how the warm welcome. When we first learned about Ben being autistic, we didn't really know, is it something that you wanted to share with everyone? It was kind of a struggle, and, to embrace it and say, no, we're going to do better. We're going to give them the best opportunity we can and kind of be in the forefront. It's amazing. I've had teachers, parents, like, you guys are on the right track. You guys are doing everything you can.
And I just want to reiterate, so these bags are something that the first responder keeps with them. It's not a thing to give out. These are tools that they use to help get focus and try to get things de-escalated so that they can take care of the emergency, whatever it is, whether it be medical or just physical emergency, trying to get them out. So.
And that's stuff that I cover in the program. We talk about whether it's a medical emergency, it could be a police emergency, a fire emergency. I talk, I go into, I share some stories that, some tragic outcomes that we've had across the country. But the reason I share those stories is because I don't want to see more tragic outcomes.
Right.
The hardest one I have to talk about was a little boy in Arizona woke up his family. It was at a trailer park. He woke his family up. He got him out. The dad somehow lost track of the child, and the child went back in, and the firefighters couldn't save him. He went back to a safe space. And I'm telling you, it's one of the hardest things I have to talk about, but I share it because I don't want that to ever happen to any of us, as first responders. I don't want that to happen. So I'll tell my firefighters, I tell my police officers, if one of us comes up to you and says, put this child in this car and secure him, we're doing this for a reason, and it's because we don't want something like that to ever happen again.
Right. And one thing that I want to let people know about is just, and I'm not an expert by any means. I'm probably definitely less knowledgeable than you as a parent would be. But one thing I do understand is when they do get in a traumatic situation or a situation they're not sure about, that is what they normally do, try to find the norm. And whether it's going back to the room, even though it may be engulfed in flames or what have you, your job as a first responder is to realize that, but try to get them refocused at, jumping out of the car when they don't need to be jumping out of the car or jumping out of the
right.
And so, so that is something that is a challenge, and having a tool like this is invaluable. It helps folks out that are trying to save lives. So, and boy, our hats off to you. We really appreciate what you do out there. We're adding you on to the Bill and Kelly Love What You Do program. So this is absolutely amazing. And is there anything else you want to share with us before we wrap up the show?
Like I said, we have an upcoming class coming up at the MAC. It's free to first responders. It's going to be September 17th. It's on the MAC's website. It's on district1firetraining.com under classes or courses. It'll be at 7 p.m. Like I said, it's free to first responders, and any department that comes, we set up that they'll get, basically, if we've not covered that department with a bag, that we'll set them up with a bag. So,
all right.
That's our goal right now, is to cover. My goal right now is to cover all District 1, which is that 5-county area, and that's Lake Porter, LaPorte County, and then Newton Jasper across the bottom. And like I said, I've had warm welcome from every fire department I've talked to. They want it. It just kind of setting up the times. And like I said, pre-COVID, we were like full steam ahead, and COVID kind of threw everything off. So
now, if someone happened to be tuning in, I mean, if they're part of District 1, they know about this already. But if for some reason some department is tuning in saying, wow, we need to get those, they contact you, or would you prefer them to go through District 1?
They can send me a message on, if it's not a District 1 fire department, they can send me a message on Ben's Blue Bags at Facebook or bensbluebags@gmail.com. Even if they want to text me, I can, I'll include my, I'll send them back my cell phone number or something like that. I always answer on Messenger. Either me or my wife will answer on Messenger for Facebook, with that when people have had questions and stuff. So, and we are, like, I'm willing to travel. I was supposed to, pre-COVID, again, I was going to speak at the Indiana Bonds Conference. That was going to be in September, and that got canceled. And I kind of started putting in for more, conferences to speak, and it's been very receptive. It's just kind of a new, innovative way in EMS and fire, and just share my experience. I'd love to see this go. My goal is to go statewide, and just I'd love to do a train the trainer with people that, the most people who care about this most is somebody who has a child that's autistic and that's in, the first responder. And I'd love to share the program and say, here's how to present it. Here's my story. You can insert, instead of Ben, you can insert a different child's name, and it's the same story. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
what the other thing, just a piece of information that would be worth knowing. What cost this to the department? Is there any cost at all? Do you expect them to cover the cost of the bags, or do you take care of that for them?
So the bags for me to put it all together and set up are around $90. So, but every department, like, Crown Point, police, we said, hey, they're like $90. They're like, no problem. Well, just send in, they can send the check to, District 1 training, and, here's the bags. It's basically a donation. But the way I kind of built it is originally the bags were, and again, like, I've had fire departments just, I tell them, when I started this, it was like, here's the link, here's how to do it. And they would just be like, just build it. Here, just tell us how much and just do it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, very few wanted to actually do it themselves. They were just like, Matt, you got it. You know what you want. You know what goes in the bag. Just put it together for us and just tell us how much.
Yeah. I understand that one. You as a firefighter definitely know that one. Boy, yeah. and your off hours with your family, and because when you're on hours, boy, it's yeah, you don't have time to be putting anything together except making sure the truck is ready and your equipment's ready, right? So, boy, I tell you what, Matt, this is a wonderful program. Hats off to you for doing this. Anything we can do to help out, please let us know. But we probably better wrap up the show so we can get this video out there so more people know about it, right?
Bill, thanks. If anything else, please let me know.
Definitely, and we'll put as much information as we can when we post the video. Matt, thank you again. It was a pleasure and an honor to have you on, and I will say this as we do to any first responder, police officer that we have on the program. We are so fortunate to have you folks out there keeping us all safe. And there's not a moment that goes by that I think that we shouldn't underappreciate you folks, because you definitely are first responders putting your lives at risk. And when this COVID came around, even more difficult. So there you go. You are our heroes. So thank you for doing that. We appreciate it. And with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up the show. And Matt, take care of yourself. Be safe. And everyone out there, we'll say goodbye for now.
This episode of The Bill and Callie Show is brought to you by Executive Suite Squared by ATG, offering private and shared office space with 24/7 secured access, 3 state-of-the-art conference rooms, shared lounge and cafe area, receptionist, printing center, and fiber optic internet access with Wi-Fi throughout. Conveniently located just south of 8094 at the Kennedy Avenue exit at 2901 Carlson Drive in Hammond, Indiana. For information on how you can become a member, go to executivesuites2.com or call 219-844-2901. Executive Suites Squared, home to the Bill and Callie Show.